What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Early Edge Super Bowl NFL prop show. And as you see, we've got everybody in-house today. No prop stars, no Claudia today. We're reshuffling the chairs, and all those chairs are right here, right now. Dave Richard, RJ White. Dave, how you feeling? I'm here. RJ's here. This is great.
5 years of this player prop show. First time ever. Everybody who's been on the show has been in the same room. So it's very exciting to see it happen. It's exciting that the Super Bowl is here. And I know that we've got our picks to make, and you guys have your picks to make too. Leave them in the chat. We'll answer them leading up to the game. And also, if you're watching live, we'll talk about them right here on the show.
Yeah, let's get some questions in the chat. Moshi already in the chat. He says, all-day shows, nonstop action, courtesy of SportsLine. RJ White, you've got an article up on SportsLine CBS Sports. It's 60 bets that you might want to consider for Super Bowl 60. I will surprise everybody with this. If you're not following us on Twitter, we've got our props, but there's only one game to talk about, so it's not going to take a regular 45 minutes to go through the props. We're going to dissect the 60 bets that you might want to consider for Super Bowl 60. How long did it take you to write that, RJ?
3 days, probably 3 days. I mean, you start at one day and then you get through the game picks, the unders, the spreads, the first halves, all that. Move on to the player props. That takes a decent amount of time. Then you get into the fun stuff. You get into the will both teams kick a 33-yard field goal? Last score wins the game. Total punts. All these crazy stuff that you kind of dig into the historical, Super Bowl tendencies. Plus what these teams do, throughout their season. So I think you take that information, you put it in. Definitely do not make 60 bets. I am not suggesting that, but I didn't put 60 bets in myself. But these are the ones I considered, and my final card is going to have several of these on it.
I only did 52 bets.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. But for real, the fact that you've made a list of 60 bets is crazy. And it's just so easy for somebody to just go through one by one and pick out the 3-4 bets they really like the most.
Yep.
I mean, we talk about it all the time on this show, is that it's not about quantity. It's about the bets that you love. You need to be selective. So nobody should take even 10 of your 60. I don't mean to, put you down or anything. 60 bets is a lot of bets, but it's going to speak to different people when they read the article. And so I think it just gives people an interesting menu of sorts.
That's right.
For people to go and check out. When you go to a restaurant, you don't order everything on the menu, but you might order 1 or 2 things off the menu, and that's what this article is all about.
Yeah, I'll just say I wish it was Super Bowl 10 that we were previewing, and that Super Bowl 60 would have taken a lot quicker.
Any good betting show is not going to just give you picks, right? They're going to give you the analysis behind the picks, and that goes for just our, when we have 7 or 8 picks on a show, or whether we have 60 in an article. You're looking for the analysis behind the picks, and that's when you decide whether you're actually going to place the bet or not. That's what betting responsibly is to all of us here at SportsLine. Okay, we got to tout ourselves a little bit, Dave. We got to tout ourselves a little bit.
What happened?
Well, our record last week, it was pretty good. So let's take a look. Let's take a look at the recap. Dave 3-0, Prop Stars 1-0. Look at Prop Stars record, by the way. Sia, that's me.
Don't look at my record.
2-0. Well, hey, 3-0 is we're cutting into that a little bit. Either way, we love to see 6-0, Dave.
You definitely want to be on a hot streak going into the biggest betting event of the year. So this is a good thing. Not a typo. We actually went undefeated last week. Very, very exciting.
Yeah, and if I could just continue to do a little bit of touting, won 12 in a row on the prop show.
Oh,
just 12, no big deal.
I'm 19 of my last 30, so I'm not 12-0, but 19 out of 30 is pretty good.
I'm 3-0. You had me on once before.
Yes. Yeah.
Hit all 3 of them. I think RJ Harvey touchdown was the only one I liked at the time. And then you guys, I found out 20 minutes before you guys needed a sub in. And so I'm just furiously like, what else can I play? And I found two on short notice that I actually liked. So 3-0 for me, 6-0 for you guys last week. Let's keep it going for the Super Bowl here.
It means we're seeing things clearly. It means that everything's kind of falling into place with one game to analyze. We better be seeing that game the right way and the best way. Let's talk about it. Super Bowl 60.
Let's talk about it. And let's put out and we kind of already alluded to this a little bit, like the line's pretty efficient, right? I mean, whether we're talking about the spread 4.5 or the total 45.5, like everything's pretty efficient. That doesn't mean we can't find edges, but I do want to just put that out there. We're not going to have like 10 picks each. We're not going to have 5 official plays each, because a lot of these lines pretty efficient. We're going to find where we think we have an edge. Let's get it started. And RJ, it's only down from here. You're undefeated so far. Let's start with one of your picks. You've got 2 here. Dave, you've got 2. I've only got 1. We'll talk about PropStar's pick as well, because I know he's on that Kenneth Walker rushing yards under that he gave out on the early edge, folks. But RJ, the first one I want you to talk about, a guy that I think I bet on earlier in the season, a guy that people just love, whether it's in the prop market or just kind of in general, Mac Hollins.
Yeah, he has been the number one receiver a lot of the time for Drake May, you know, especially in these big spots. He had 8 to 10 targets in playing the Buffalo Bills, Baltimore Ravens, and Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That Buccaneers game, season high 10 targets. The Buffalo and Baltimore games were late in the season. Then he gets hurt. He goes on IR. We don't see him for a few weeks. He comes back in the snowstorm, gets 51 yards on 2 catches in a game where Drake May had only 87 receiving yards. So I think this is the guy who's going to lead the Patriots in receiving, you know, surprisingly. Not Kayshon Boutte, not Stephon Diggs, who everybody probably thinks is going to happen. He's outproduced Diggs in several of those games, actually. So I'm going Mac Hollins over 24.5 receiving yards at -110. I would ladder that all the way up to 75. I would even maybe think about in that 60 picks article, I put him up to 100 and then got over plus 1,000 on that because I think a 100-yard game is definitely in the realm of possibility here for Mac Hollins in this matchup.
Look at that. Look at that ladder showing up on the screen. I actually love this too. Yeah. I refuse to take overs. I'm done with overs. I'm only on unders. So this is one of the overs that I would have taken if I was going to make overs. Target per route run. That's one of the stats that I talk about all the time. It's something that really tells you just how involved a wide receiver is with his team. And we've seen with Mac Hollins from week 10 through week 16, and this just goes to your point, RJ, a 24.3 target per route run rate. That means that for every 4 routes he's running, he's getting a target his way. He's going to have the opportunity to make plays, and he's got a route rate. This is just being on the field for a passing play at 76%. Again, weeks 10 through 16. I would throw out the snow game against Denver because they didn't throw that much in the game anyway. It was his first game back. He wasn't going to play a ton. I think we see Mac Hollins in a sizable role. Love him for DFS. That's your bag. Yeah. And I think he's going to have a big role in this game as well.
We did Fantasy Football Today DFS earlier this morning on your channel, Fantasy Football Today YouTube channel. We talked a little bit about Mac Hollins, but I got to tell you, if you haven't watched that show, I mean, Mike went through basically different game scripts with different captains in the showdown.
Yeah, that's the way to do it.
He just built it out, and he told the story for each one, and me and Meg kind of weighed in on what we like. Mac Hollins certainly came up in that conversation. What I like about Mac Hollins, too, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but you know, you look at Diggs, certainly Kayshon Boutte's down the field, but Mac Hollins goes down the field as well. Some of those other guys like Diggs, they're usually in that shorter area. But Mac Hollins, with the 24.5, for example, that's one catch potentially for Mac Hollins.
Yeah, and you know, people think that Kayshon Boutte's kind of that receiver. He's had several big catches in there, but you know, he did his damage with Mac Hollins not on the field those last few weeks when he was on the IR. So you get Mac Hollins back in this game, and they're going to attack, you know, deep. They know that they need to keep the Seattle defense a little bit at bay, pulling them back from the line of scrimmage because they will go to town against that offensive line if they can. So you're going to see a few deep shots from Mac Hollins. He's only got to hit one. He's kind of like the Rashid Shaheed, except he's going to get 3 times the targets of Rashid Shaheed, maybe. Yeah. So it's pretty interesting.
Rashid Shaheed feels like game to game feels like more of a mirage than he does like a guy you actually want to put your money on because you just don't know if he's actually going to get targeted.
It's true. He plays a lot. And I think especially in this game, there will be a chance at a couple of splash plays for Rashid Shaheed. And I would love to take the under on Rashid Shaheed, but the numbers are all so low for him to begin with. It's like 1.5 catches, like getting 2 catches in a game. I don't want to bet against that for somebody who plays as much as he does. But his impact is typically felt on speed.
He's only done it in 3 of 11 games, though, to get multiple catches in a game.
Interesting.
With Seattle. So, I mean, getting plus odds on that prop seems pretty good.
Well, it's interesting. I like the negative correlated plays where I'm taking the under receptions but the over yards and I'm splashing in an anytime touchdown. I usually like to do that with the 2.5 receptions, guys, so I have a little bit of wiggle room. So I probably won't do it with Sheed. Maybe I'll do it with somebody like Kayshon Boutte, where, again, I go to like 40 plus, under 2.5 receptions, and then an anytime touchdown. But Shaheed with 1.5, I think that tells the story about Shaheed in terms of what his volume might be. Okay, talking about volume, Dave, I want to get your Ramondre Stevenson play because I think this one is really interesting, and I think a lot of people might think, hey, I might want to be on the other side of this. I'm guessing. I don't know that people will actually be thinking that. Talk to me about Ramondre before you do. Shout out to Rick Funcannon, Philip Tarasis, Moshe Mutandas, Katie Taylor. We got a lot of people in the chat. Adrian Flores is in here. Cosmic Charlie, thanks for being in here. Smash the like button if you could.
Is that why you have 2 iPads? One's on the chat.
Monitoring the chat, monitoring the rundown. I've got some other things up, including the 60 picks for Super Bowl 60.
Organized. I wouldn't expect anything less from a lawyer.
That's right.
Yeah. Good for you.
That was the one skill I took from practicing law. All right, talk to me about Ramondre Stevenson.
I'm taking the under on his carries. It's 14.5. I got it at -115, and you'll see the juice now at around -120, something like that. He's clearly been the Patriots' hot hand in the playoffs, but this simple fact remains. He's had 15-plus rush attempts in just 3 games all year, Sia. That's not a lot. One was a blowout win over the lowly Titans. The other 2 were the recent games in the playoffs. One of them, the Ice Bowl against the Broncos. That was a game where they had to run because they couldn't throw the ball worth a damn in that game. Stevenson will see a Seahawks run defense that's been awesome all year, but especially its past 4 games. 3.3 yards per rush allowed. 0 explosive runs allowed. So not a lot of big plays. It means that he won't have the chance to be efficient with his carries. It means he's not going to get off to a hot start if this Seahawks run defense plays to expectations. It means more on Drake May's shoulders. I think there's a better chance that the Patriots are playing from behind than the Seahawks are playing from behind. And that means fewer carries from Ramondre Stevenson. Give me the under on his rush attempts, 14.5.
So here's the thing. I like where you're going with more on Drake May's shoulders, which, again, he does have a hurt shoulder. That's probably not going to be an issue. And I'll get to my completions prop on Drake May in just a second. I think the problem I have with this is that Trevion has been so phased out. When you talk about the number of times he's hit this prop, well, it's really recent because they've made a decision, it feels like, to minimize Trevion Henderson and just whether he's efficient or not, just give it to Ramondre Stevenson. So how do you kind of compensate for that potential? Or do we think maybe it's just so inefficient that he could still be the guy, but he only gets 13, 12 carries?
I think it could be the latter. And I also simply think that Seattle's run defense is that damn good, and the Patriots are going to know it. And as much confidence as they have in Ramondre, he's going to have to show it to them in the first half of the game, or the score is just going to have to be so low that keeps Ramondre in the game script where he can pick up those carries. And I don't know if that's going to happen. I do think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I like the under on the total, but I don't know if it's necessarily going to be something where Ramondre Stevenson is getting fed the ball like we've seen him get fed the ball in the prior 2 games for New England.
And has Trevion Henderson been phased out, or has he been hurt? Because I believe he had double-digit carries in that Texans game. He had an injury, played 4 snaps. I think he was still dealing with injury. Got 3 carries when he was on the field in the Ice Bowl. But, the weather there, terrible weather. If he's dealing with an injury, you don't want him on the field in that type of weather. So I wonder, with 2 weeks off here, a little bit healthier, knowing that you need explosive plays from him if you're going to compete in this game, if he's not on the field more, I certainly think he's going to be on the field much more than for 4 snaps like he was in that AFC Championship.
Yeah, but keep in mind, against the Texans, part of the reason he got a bulk of those carries in the second quarter is because of the eye injury to Ramondre Stevenson. So even though you're right, he got to double-digit carries, but he easily could have gotten only to 7 because of the Ramondre injury. We don't know how that actually would have played.
But his line's 4.5, so 7 is still more involvement than the markets are thinking right now.
That's fair. So let me ask you this. Preview of what we're going to get to in a few minutes, the 60 bets for Super Bowl 60. Is Trevion, did he make his way into that article?
Might have had his rush attempts over, because I do think he can get to 5. It was pretty much juiced up. It was like -140. So I don't think he's going to get way over 5, but I do think if they put him on the field and he hits a big play early on, they're going to want to go back to him and try to, in a game that Dave is right, it's probably going to be an under game. Points are going to be at a premium. A guy that can hit a big play or 2 needs to be on the field and needs to be taking the defense, have to take him into account, pull back the defense and try to limit those explosive plays. And that opens up everything else that Drake May can do in this game.
It's interesting. Jay Long says Stevenson under 77.5 rushing and receiving -115.
So, yeah, I'm not feeling that under.
That's the thing, because if we think Drake May is going to have to drop back and maybe pepper the short area, which I think he's going to have to do.
Who's going to catch the ball?
Who's going to catch the ball? Obviously, they have so many suitors for that.
Sure.
Matt Collins, Booty, in the short area, Hunter Henry, Stephon Diggs, maybe even Austin Hooper, some Kyle Williams. But I think Ramondre gets a few of those.
Absolutely. And it's zone coverage that Seattle plays a ton of, which means they play the safeties back, the corners play back. They don't want to give up the big play. And if they're not willing to give up the big play, and the Patriots see that, if Drake May sees that, he's going to check down. I think Ramondre makes a big impact in the passing game. I think Trevion could too, if he gets the opportunities, if he gets the snaps to go out there and play.
They don't. The theory on that is they don't trust him in pass protection, so they're not going to.
No, but they trust him as a pass catcher, so it really would have to be a design.
Put them both on the field. Put them on the field, 2 tight ends and Matt Collins, and let's have fun out there.
I mean, Josh McDaniels has had 2 weeks. Yeah. We keep talking about McDonald and all these other coaches even leading up to the Super Bowl. I mean, Josh McDaniels I feel like he's kind of under the radar. He shouldn't be.
He absolutely should not be. This is the 10th Super Bowl that he's going to coach in. There's only been 60 Super Bowls. He's been in 10 of the 60 Super Bowls now. And we talked about this on our show, Fantasy Football Today. Tom Brady told a story about how Josh McDaniels, very late in the week of one of the Super Bowls, started drawing up plays. We're talking about after all their practices were in the books, started drawing up plays, and they needed those plays in the game and scoring drives. They came in handy. So Josh McDaniels is creative. That is one of the things he could do, is use both those running backs on the field at the same time. Whether or not he actually does it remains to be seen.
So this, I think, plays well with my prop. I've got Drake May over 19.5 completions. It's minus 125. This is a prop where I don't think it's going to be sexy to a lot of people. And the truth is, he's not usually hitting this over. We're not necessarily seeing a ton of volume. We've seen it. We don't see it a lot from Drake May, but part of the reason for that, in my opinion, is that they haven't been pressed in a lot of these games. They've been really leaning on their defense in a lot of these games. And of course, they will be leaning on their defense in this one too. But the long and short of it is they're going to be pressed to score points. Seahawks are the better team. We're looking at a neutral or a negative game script. And I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball, like you said, with Ramondre Stevenson or Trevion Henderson. And I think if I'm Josh McDaniels and I have 2 weeks, and I know that my guy Drake May likes to throw it downfield, and I know that the Seattle defense likes to protect throws downfield, I'm probably scheming things in the short area for Ramondre Stevenson, for Stephon Diggs, for Hunter Henry, and the bevy of receivers and pass catchers that Drake May has to him. I don't think 19.5, just so everybody understands, we do completions props all the time on this show. That's not a big number. Okay, we're like a typical number on like an average quarterback and an average game script would be 21.5. The prolific ones, 23.5 for like the Pat Mahomes and the Dak Prescotts of the world that love to throw the ball. But 19.5 is not a big number. If this was 20.5, where it is in some places, it's 19.5.
You get plus money on it if it's 20.5.
Right. If it was 20.5, I think I would actually look at the attempts rather than the completions. But because it's 19.5, I don't mind looking at the completions and favoring efficiency. But again, at 19.5, you don't have to be hyper efficient. Any thoughts here?
Yeah, I like where your head's at. I would take the over on the attempts. Number one,
fair.
There's less juice. And the number's 30.5. So it's a little high for Drake May when you think about May and the fact that he will scramble a little bit when the pressure's on. But I do think he's going to have to throw a lot in the game. And if that's the case, asking him to get to 31 to 35 pass attempts, even against Seattle, I think that's doable.
As it is, and LJ, I'm going to let you go in a second. As it is a lot with the completions versus attempts, I went back and forth. A lot of times I have like a hard line decision on that.
Yeah.
This one, Drake May could have a bad game where he's chucking it a lot, but he's not completing it a lot. Truth is, though, if that happens, he's not extending drives. And if he's not extending drives, he's not hitting either of these. So I do need him to extend some drives, and he's probably going to do that not with the rushing game, but with the passing game, hopefully in the short area.
The nice thing about both of these overs is it correlates well with the Ramondre under.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I think you really attack with the tight ends. I know Seattle has had some deficiencies covering the tight ends there. And New England has Hunter Henry, one of the better tight ends in the game, but also Austin Hooper, who gets a couple catches in a game that they can attack with. So I don't know how many, multi-tight end, threats that the Seahawks have faced. Certainly the Rams can be among that lately. But other than that, I mean, they kind of lucked out a little bit with the George Kittle injury in the playoffs. And they don't face a lot of tight ends like that. So if you're Drake May, you're trying to move the ball down the field, dump it off to Hunter Henry, let him go run for a first down, get Austin Hooper involved for an 8-yard catch, 7-yard catch here and there. And then that helps to jack up your completions that you're looking for.
And what type of situation does Hunter Henry see the most targets in? What type of coverage scheme when he's facing it? It's zone coverage, not man-to-man. And again, the Seahawks play about 80% zone coverage. It would be a shockaroo if the Seahawks came out and played man-to-man coverage against the Patriots on Sunday.
We don't have an official play on Hunter Henry. We'll get to your article in a bit, but I believe that line is in the 38.5 range. Is that right? RJ, do you have any thoughts there? Obviously, it's pretty high, but given the matchup and probably the need to pass a little bit, do we like the over there, or is it too efficient?
Yeah, I didn't play it because, I'm on my Mac Hollins game here. And like Dave, I'm a little apprehensive about over, especially, they're going to get bet up. But playing it under 40 yards, I think is probably going to be good. I'd have to look through his game log. But I would probably be more inclined to play a receptions prop with him, just in case that they rally to tackle. We know Seattle's very good at that, limiting those big plays. So if you're playing an over on those receiving props, you want to have the option of somebody hitting a 25-yarder, 30-yarder. And I just don't think it's going to happen for Henry in this game.
3.5 receptions for Double H, the game, and 39.5 yards. And here's something interesting. There are some books, it's minus 120 for over 39.5. At BetMGM, it's plus 105. So this is the ultimate shop around moment, and make sure you double check with all the books that are available to you when it comes to placing the bets. If you like the over on Hunter Henry, I wouldn't do it myself, but if you were compelled to do it, on the yardage, shop around first before you put the money down.
We need to talk a little bit more about some Seattle Seahawks. We got AJ Barner coming from you. We got Sam Darnold, an interesting prop here coming from you. But before we do that, Ben, I think we want to hear a message from our sponsors.
When you need your sports news all the time,
we've got breaking news to bring to you.
CBS Sports HQ gives you a snapshot of all the sports that matter to you. When you need your sports in a snap, find it on CBS Sports HQ, streaming free anywhere you are.
We're back on the NFL Super Bowl prop show, courtesy of the Early Edge. Let's talk some Seahawks, and let's talk, this is interesting, Sam Darnold rushing attempts, RJ.
Yeah, I know this is a good prop because I put it in. I was looking at it. I put it in. I go to check on SportsLine, make sure everything looks fine, and then I see that Mike McClure has put it in like 5 minutes later.
Let's go.
So we're both looking at it at the same time. We both pull the trigger at the same time because, over 2.5 rush attempts at plus money you could find. Seems like a really good number here. He's had 3+ rush attempts in 6 of his last 7 games. This is the Super Bowl. This is the biggest game you could possibly have. So he's going to be willing to scramble when the pressure comes down, get a couple of yards, try to go get a first down with his legs, something that he might not do a lot in the regular season, especially when they're big. In this type of environment, big game, you expect him to run. Then you could also hit this on the kneel downs, right? We always look at these attempt props where quarterbacks have the kneel downs in play. He's going to be on the field at the end of the game. So if the Seahawks do win the game, you get a couple of kneel downs out of that. You might only need 1 rush during the game. You might only need no rushes in the middle of the game because you might get 3 kneel downs to cash this here. So over 2.5 rush attempts, I was surprised that some books were giving this out of plus money.
Interesting. Plus 112 on over 2.5 rush attempts. Like RJ said, we've got Mike McClure and RJ, 2 of the smartest at SportsLine on this very same prop. All right, let's transition to somebody that Sam Darnold might be throwing the ball to. Dave Richard, AJ Barner.
Maybe not that much because it is AJ Barner. I'm taking the under on his receptions. Sia. It's 2.5 receptions and it's at plus money. I got in it at plus 125. I'll do a double check on what the odds are currently on this, but he's had a low 12.7% target per route run rate in Seattle's past 4 games. And that percentage shrinks all the way down to 0% against man-to-man coverage. You know how many targets you're getting if you've got 0% targets per route run against man coverage. That's what he's had in his last 4 games. This is what the Patriots tend to play a lot of. They're 9th highest in the league in man-to-man coverage, 4th most in the playoffs. We've also seen Barner catch 2 or fewer passes in each of 3 straight games. Pretty big games for Seattle, I would say. It's the playoffs. They're en route to the Super Bowl. Barner's not involved in what they're doing, and that makes me a little bit nervous about trusting him. A small part of the problem also has been Barner's role as a blocker. 15% of his snaps when it's been a pass play, he's blocking. He's not out there running a route. Elijah Arroyo is coming back for the Seahawks. That's somebody that could take targets downfield. And while his target per route run rate has gone down, Cooper Kupp's against man-to-man coverage, it's going up. I kind of like some overs for Cooper Kupp in this game. I think he'll be the target a little bit further downfield than AJ Barner. So give me the under. Give me plus 125 on AJ Barner. 2.5 receptions. He's not getting to 3.
So I've been talking about Cooper Kupp for the last couple of weeks now. I haven't been willing to pull the trigger on his over 3.5 receptions. Although I'll tell you, Meg Shop did on the Early Edge this morning at really nice plus money. So let's hope that comes in. But I did include him in a same game parlay I gave out, RJ, where I just had the 3+ catches along with a couple of other things. What are your thoughts on Cooper Kupp? Because to me, it seems like, listen, you can't take JSN out of the game, but these corners in this secondary is pretty good. Like they'll do their best to bracket or whatever they decide to do with their coverages. I do feel like Cooper Kupp is the guy that's going to be in the short to medium area, the safety net for Sam Darnold.
And I think he might be able to slip one of those for a long gain too, shake a tackle and go. We know how effective he has been in big games in his career. And, he won a Super Bowl MVP. So if I'm looking to play Cooper Kupp, I'm going to look at the over on longest reception. I believe it's 16.5. It might be 17.5.
It might be 15.5, actually.
Okay. I'm seeing 16.5. One book does have 15.5.
Okay.
So 15.5. I mean, I really like that number because I like, he's going to put his head down, get the first down, get an extra couple yards, pull the pile with them, especially if he's on one of those smaller guys like a Marcus Jones covering him. Because I believe Carlton Davis is probably going to be on Shaheed, and then of course you get the big guy on the primary
Christian
receiver.
Gonzalez on JSN.
Yeah, Christian Gonzalez on JSN. I didn't want to flip my teams there, and figure out who was covering who.
I got you.
So, Marcus Jones against Cooper Kupp. I mean, he's going to pull him over and get a few extra yards in that. So I think he's going to be able to get over the longest reception, and then we'll just see how involved he is, whether he gets to the over on the yardage.
Yeah, I think, again, we don't necessarily – SGPs aren't usually like plus EV, right? But if everybody's going to have fun with Super Bowl. I'm sorry. Like, it's just true. People are going to have fun with Super Bowl SGPs. And one of the ones that I'm going to be leaning on, by the way, Early Edge special show, 10 o'clock in the morning on Sunday. We're going to have pretty much the whole SportsLine cast with just a couple of exceptions on that show from 10 to 11, setting up all of our favorite bets. But I'm going to have Cooper Kupp 3+ receptions in some of the SGPs. I'm only going to have a couple that I put out there.
Would you take it straight if the odds weren't so bad, if it wasn't so juicy? Because it's really juicy at over 2.5.
2.5. Yeah, it's like minus 170 or
something. It's in that range.
Yeah, I mean, of course I would. I mean, even if it was minus 140, I would take it. But minus 170.
Minus 170 is a lot.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of juice.
And truth is, it was 3.5 pretty much everywhere at plus money. And there's only a couple books that actually, I think, lowered it to the 2.5.
Yeah.
So I just want to be on that 3+ and maybe.
Well, but that's the point of using an SGP, is finding those odds where they're just astronomical, and you pair it with one or two other things. Don't go crazy. Don't make an 8-leg thing. Honestly, you're just giving the money away if you're doing that, in my opinion. But if you're going to do a 2-leg, 3-leg SGP, and that's one of the legs, that's how you drive down the odds.
Yeah,
and that's how you make it a little bit more palatable and makes it feel good about having the bet in your pocket.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind to get the juice down, maybe just to just parlay it with Sam Darnold 1+ touchdown, just one.
Yeah,
and that might get it down to a reasonable range. I know you don't like, because I did look at your, and this is probably a good time to transition to your 60 for 60 here. One of the bets that you had on there was Sam Darnold under 2 touchdowns, or under 1.5 touchdowns, if you will.
Right, yeah, because I just don't think there's going to be a lot of points in this game. I think both teams are probably going to be held under 20 points. I believe the number for that is plus 650. Another pick in that article, I have neither team scores 30, neither team scores 25, and neither team scores 20, which you can get a plus 650 at some books. And in a game where points are at a premium, Seahawks might have 1 touchdown, 4 field goals. We did see them win one game this year where they kicked 6 field goals and they didn't have any touchdowns. Yeah. So I could definitely see a 1 touchdown game here. Could be rushing. If there's 2, could be 1 rushing, 1 passing. I just don't think he's going to throw for. There are going to be a lot of touchdowns in this game. So that's why I like that under there. And then also from that article, speaking of the minus 170 price, would you play your Kupp receptions over? Would you play Kenneth Walker to lead the game in rushing? Because I saw that at minus 170. Put that in the article. I felt like, who else is going to do it if not him, right? Minus 170 seemed like a pretty cheap price for that prop.
I agree. I just have so little faith in any of the running backs in this game that I don't want to put my money on any one of those. Like the most receiving yards, most rushing yards, I looked at that. I wanted to have a play, and I'm like, I'm out. I got nothing here.
I would be in on that if we knew for sure that Robert Spillane was out for the Patriots at linebacker. They give up a yard per carry more when he's off the field than on. And as of Wednesday, he didn't practice. So if he doesn't practice, he doesn't play in the Super Bowl. I think it's kind of a long shot that he doesn't play. I think he is going to play.
Yeah.
But if the day comes and there's no Robert Spillane, that means it's a backup linebacker for the Patriots. It's Jack Gibbons. Good player, not a great player. I think we could see Walker break some big runs there. He's the one most likely to have a big game.
He plays for a half, right? You know, he aggravates his injury, and then, you know, he's out the second half, and they're you know, giving up these big plays to a running back who's probably icing the game at that point. If the odds are to be correct and Seattle's winning this game, Kenneth Walker could do a lot of damage in the second half.
I will tell you, to your field goal note and your just lack of touchdown note, one of the things we talked about a lot on Fantasy Football Today, DFS Today, was playing in showdown. Again, DFS conversation, I'll give you 5 seconds. Playing the defenses, but playing the field goal kickers. That's going to make a lot of sense if you believe in that particular game script. You mentioned points. Moshi says Seahawks team total over 19.5 and Patriots team total under 24.5 is minus 115. So you're pairing those together. I don't love the price on that. What are your thoughts? I know you think they both could be under a certain.
I don't think Seahawks are getting to 20 points, so I'm not playing that one, because I like I said, my first play of the week last Monday was Patriots 20.5 team total under. I just felt like that number was going to come down a little bit. So locked that one in, and then I looked into the game and I said, I'm going to take the Patriots. I don't care what the number is. The 3.5 point underdogs or more in the Super Bowl the last 25 years, or 11-2 against the spread. So I was like, I got to be on the Patriots in this spot here. The game's probably going to be closer than people expect, but I just don't think they're going to score a ton of points. So I think it's going to be one of those 19-17, 17-16, one of those, a lot of field goals, and probably maybe even neither team gets a 20. Like I said, plus 650, I think is a very good price for that.
I think it's going to be a lot of defense, because I think both defenses are really good. I think the whole reason why both these teams are here, or at least the primary reason why both these teams are here, is because of their respective defenses. We're talking about two of the 5 best defenses in the National Football League this year. Want to give credit to Houston and Denver. Those defenses are amazing, but they're not playing in this game. These defenses are, and I think that they're going to be the ones, especially early on in the game. I think you'll see a lot of punting. And that just means, not a lot of fun for people who are casual football fans. But if you love defense,
or if you bet some punting props, like I have in this article, Patriots first drive ends on a punt is like minus 106, minus 105, somewhere around there.
We're on the same wavelength.
That was definitely one I took. I like the over on punts, the under on kickoffs, which is 10.5, because I don't think there's going to be a lot of scoring, obviously. So I'm definitely going to be the sicko that's over here in the Super Bowl rooting for punts and stops and fewer points.
Curious, because this came up on the early edge earlier this week. Was the number you got on number of punts in the game 7.5? Okay. See, I kind of like that as well. I like the over there as well. Let's see. Total field goals. Okay, so this is directly from your article. Total field goals made over 3.5 is minus 115. I don't mind that at all. Will both teams make a 33-plus yard field goal? Yes, minus 125. Larry put that out on the early edge this morning as well. And both teams have scored 2+ field goals, plus 175. RJ, back to you.
Yeah, Larry had that one on the show yesterday as well. That was one of his picks. We divvy up $1,000 each week to bet on a bunch of things, and that was one of the ones he locked in on the show yesterday. And both teams have scored 2+ field goals. I mean, that plus 175 is obviously because you can get 3 on one on the other. That's why it's so different from the minus 115. But I do think there's going to be some success from the offenses. Just you're not going to get very, very much getting into the red zone and into the end zone with these defenses. So I do think you're going to settle for shorter field goals. We do see 2 defensive coaches in this game. So I think they're going to be a little bit more conservative, trust their defenses that are playing so well to go out and win this game, willing to take points maybe on a 4th and 3, 4th and 4, where some of these other teams like the Rams, you see them go for it all the time in those spots.
Right.
So this situation, I think, is going to be tailor-made for field goals.
I 100% agree. Under first quarter, I think.
Where's EC when we need him to talk field goals? We're finally loving field goal bets again.
That's right. First half under, I think, is 23.5. I certainly don't mind that one either. There was a question in the chat I think we do need to get to from Cosmic Charlie. By the way, we'll be on for another 10 minutes or so. So if you have questions, you might want to put them in the chat right now so that we can get them answered. Let's see. May 38.5 rushing yards. Now, Cosmic Charlie is saying he leans to the under, which totally makes sense because at this point the line is gotten pretty high. I don't know that it'll get any higher necessarily. Dave, I'm going to go to you first. This is a big ticket item because a lot of people are investing in Drake May, whether it's on this bet in particular, but his rushing yards.
And the odds makers know it, and that's why the line is pretty high for a rushing yardage bet, especially for a quarterback like this. And right now we're actually seeing it falling a little bit. I see a lot of 37.5. One outlet has 35.5. I wouldn't try and get cute and middle it or anything like that. Right. You're just going to have to pick a side. I would say that if we believe our theory, our philosophy is that it's all going to come down to Drake May's shoulders. That doesn't mean he's going to get it done entirely with his arm. Some of it's going to be with his legs. I think with the pressure that's put on him, that's when he scrambles. And when he scrambles, he can go and pick up chunks of yardage at a time. This was also Claudia Belafado's favorite prop, is the over on Drake May's rushing yards. Now, she's a Patriots fan, so take it for what it's worth, but she's also watched this team every step of the way this year. She knows how they operate. She's been pretty good this year on her player props. So I would lean away toward the under. I would take the over, but I wouldn't put a full unit on anything like
RJ,
this.
your thoughts here?
Yeah, and she's been cashing on that too. You know, she plays it a lot on the show that we have on Wednesdays as well. Now that the number's been inflated, I would look to the longest rush prop for Drake May. I don't think that that's been inflated really, because people are betting the rushing total more and more. I do think it could go up because you see so much more volume in these last few days, especially game day, than you do, during the week, because people are not going to lock in those bets until later in the process. And everybody's been watching all these shows. Everybody's talking about how much they love Drake May's rushing, Drake May's rushing, Drake May's rushing. That I do think there is the potential for the line to get up over 40 before you play the under. So, like with most of the time in Super Bowls, wait to play your unders, wait to play the dog, because you typically see these lines inflate a little more when more volume gets into the system and into the sports books, and then they might be able to willing to tick it up a little bit here and there, especially if you have multiple books to shop around, because then you can just eyeball those books and see which one's going to give you the 40.5 that you can play the under on.
There's 2 bets from your article I want to get to real quick, because one of them touches on an SGP that I gave out on one of the HQ segments earlier this week. It was Stephon Diggs 5+ receiving yards in the first quarter, which implicates your first catch one. That's why I'm bringing this up. There was 3 other legs of the parlay. The other one was Rondé Stevenson 10+ rushing yards in the first quarter. Then it was JSN 60+ receiving yards, again, a pretty low mark there, and Cooper Kupp 3+ receptions. That paid around plus 350. And again, a lot of that is contingent upon what happens in the first quarter with the Patriots. I think Stephon Diggs is involved early. 5 yards is only 1 catch, obviously, in my opinion. And Ramondre, even if he's not efficient, I think they're going to lean into him early as well, see what they've got. I thought 10 yards was in play for him, especially if they have at least one drive that gets a couple of first downs. Your thoughts on Stephon Diggs early in the game?
Yeah, first Patriots reception, I had him at plus 270. He's had the first Patriot reception each of the last 3 games. Now, Matt Hollins has been hurt a little bit, but that tells you that they're going to him over going to Hunter Henry, over trying to dump it off on a screen and get a big play there. He kind of is, you want to get him going. We know Stephon Diggs. We know his history. You don't want him kind of checked out. He's not going to be checked out in the Super Bowl, obviously. You come to play in that type of environment, but you want to get him involved early. You want to keep him happy. You want to get him at his best. So I do believe the first target of the game goes to him. Whether he catches it or not is on him.
The other one I wanted to, do you have any thoughts on Diggs in general? Because his catch prop is 4.5.
He's the leader on the Patriots in target per route run rate, no matter what the situation, no matter the defensive coverage, no matter the downer distance, he's the main guy. So this almost seems too easy, that an over of 5 yards on Steph Diggs in the first quarter, but it's too good to be true.
Well, it's an alt line. That's the thing. That's why it's in an SGP, because it's like minus 160 for the 5+. Okay. The real line, that's a good point, is either 7 or 8 yards. I think it's 8 first quarter yards, something in that 8-ish range.
But I might look to both of those overs.
Yeah,
because I think that Stephon Diggs is going to be as involved as I'm saying. But even in the first quarter, just getting him involved right away, I think he could be involved in all 4 quarters of this game.
I think you need to get the receivers involved right away, because you don't want them just – I mean, their defensive scheme is interesting with their nickel packages against the run and things of that nature, but you certainly don't want to just run the ball right away and be like, this is the plan. We're just going to run Ramondre 25 times. Like
play action is going to be huge.
You got to open it up a little bit early, right. And I think Stephon Diggs is one of the ways to do that. The other one I wanted to get to as I'm scrolling this everybody, you gotta check this article out. I mean, it's pretty impressive. But first score field goal plus 110, and then you have quarter of first touchdown second, which is interesting. But field goal makes so much sense as the first score plus 110.
Yeah, touchdown is minus 140, because you just picture teams are going to go for it. These offenses very good, scripted plays early in the game. Probably going to have some success there. But as we said, I think we're going to have punts early on. You're going to have not a lot of scoring early on. Another thing I had, will the game be tied after 0-0? I think it's going to be 3-3, because I think both teams are going to have to settle for field goals early before you get to the first touchdown of the game in the second quarter, which is plus 255. So I like this. The safety in the first score of the game is actually cashed twice in this prop the last 14 years. I believe there was the Peyton Manning game where he got sacked, and then there was one other one where there was a safety for, I believe it was maybe Sean Marino got tackled in the end zone. So yeah, first score of the field goal might be like plus 35, or safety might be plus 3,500. It does happen more often than you think. I still like the field goal here. I just think defenses are going to be on their game early.
Dave, one of the ones he has in here, I absolutely love. It sounds gimmicky, but it's not. And I'll see if you have any more questions, let us know. We're only going to be on for a few more minutes here, but highest scoring half.
Highest scoring half.
I mean, before knowing what his pick is, it's minus 115. Just assume it's minus 115 each way. Just assume that for the sake of it.
I would think the second half would be the higher scoring half.
Don't you think that should be minus 130?
Sure.
I mean, I know that's not that much different than minus 115, but two defensive teams playing it very conservatively. In the second, I assume this is part of your argument. Feel free to expand on it. But at a certain point, one of these teams is down. They got to open it up, which means maybe more scoring on the offense, but certainly more opportunistic defensive possibilities, like we've seen in recent Texans games, for example, against Pittsburgh, where it was low scoring, and then Aaron Rodgers had to open it up, and Texans scored 2 defensive touchdowns. This might be my favorite bet on the board.
Yeah, and the reason I think it is what it is people are expecting a Seahawks blowout. A lot of people are. So you get the Seahawks to have a lot of success early on, go into halftime with a double-digit lead. Probably some people think is on the table, and then there's just park the bus and pump the brakes and not give up anything. Play some prevent. Don't turn over the ball if you're Sam Darnold, and then you see probably a 20-3 game in the first half turns into like a 24-10 final or something like that. I obviously don't think it's going to be that way. I think it's going to be tight defensively on both sides, a lot of field goals early, and then maybe things open up after halftime as these offenses get a chance to adjust to what the defenses are throwing at them.
All right.
Did we give Proppy's pick?
Oh, Proppy's pick,
Which do that.
Yeah, which he gave out on the early edge. I think when it was 78.5, he had Kenneth Walker's rushing yards under right when Super Bowl props came out. We're talking last week. His first prop that he put, if you're a SportsLine member, you got this a week and a half ago, quite literally. It was Kenneth Walker under 78.5 rushing yards. I believe it's down to 74.5. I believe at this point, maybe 75, 73.
I'm seeing 70.5 in a couple of books, 73.5 in another.
Okay.
So
I'm pretty sure
you'll be able to find it somewhere between 70.5 and 73.5.
At that point, I'm out though, right? I mean, that's so much movement. And Kenneth Walker is going to get. I mean, his rushing attempt prop is 18.5, I think, still.
Right. So why hasn't that number gone down, but his efficiency number has gone down?
Robert Spillane maybe is more and more likely to play, even though he hasn't practiced. You think he go the other way. So.
Again, there's more optimism on Thursday that Spillane's going to play in the game. He's speaking openly like he's going to play in the game, and it does make a difference if he plays.
I do kind of like
fast linebacker.
I do kind of like Kenneth Walker's longest rush over 14.5 yards. I think that's low considering the amount of volume he's getting and the ability for him to bounce it outside and at least get one or two 15-plus chunk runs. I think, Dave, anything we missed? There's not a ton more questions in the chat. I think we addressed.
I mean, I'd love to answer the chat more than anything else because they usually come to the show with some good ideas.
We've answered a lot of the questions in the chat. The over field goals was already talked about. That's one that people like the Drake May rushing yards was in there. Cooper Kupp was in there. The Stevenson rushing and receiving, we talked about that. I think we covered. I'll tell you what, we're going to be doing this show, not this show, but we're going to be doing a show from 10 to 11. So if you have more questions, get in the SportsLine Discord, but also can just join us on the early edge from 10 to 11 on Sunday.
Does JSN get a carry? That's an interesting one from Philip.
Right.
Yeah, I wouldn't take the over on it. The odds are juicy, but I don't think they're fair.
Right. The idea is maybe Shaheed gets that carry, but JSN certainly could get it.
But the idea would be that they'll be defending the Shaheed run, right? So
exactly.
You move him around one side, JSN comes down the other side, he's got an open field, and he takes an end around for 20, 25 yards.
It would be a way to get him away from Christian Gonzalez on the play.
Well, he was lining up in the backfield against the Rams, so that's another way to get him an interesting carry on an end around.
I do like this one a little.
Yeah, this one. Now that we that's what the show's for. We're talking through it,
right?
And part of the article, total players to get a rush 7.5. I took the over on that. I believe it was plus money. Let me check that out real quick. Total players to get a rush. Plus 115 over 7.5. You expect Rashid Shaheed, Sam Darnold, Kenneth Walker, and at least one other running back to get a carry for the Seahawks. Probably Holani. Wow. You expect Drake May, Ramondre, and Travion to all get carries. Just looking for one more player, and I think that could be JSN. Could be a trick play, like we saw Cooper Kupp attempt a pass in one game,
AJ
and then
Barner,
he pulls it down
push.
And runs it. AJ Barner tush push is the thing I think is the most likely to happen, and he's the 8th player. But a lot of options. You open up the playbook. You see in Super Bowls all the time. You're trying to get an advantage and get misdirection and get somebody looking at the way that they should not be going, and then all of a sudden, a guy that you didn't expect has the ball in his hands. He's running the ball.
AJ Barner first touchdown because of the tush push out as well is, I think, interesting.
Yeah.
Just an extra out. It's open-ended instead of a gut shot. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think that'll do it. Let's get to the recap screen before we get you all out of here. As you can see, we've got Dave on Ramondre Stevenson under 14.5 carries at minus 115. We've got AJ Barner under 2.5 receptions at plus 125.
I would take it at under 3.5 receptions too.
Yeah, we'll take that too.
Sure, I don't know what the juice would be on that.
RJ trying to complete the 5-0 has Matt Collins over 24.5 receiving yards, minus 110, and Darnold over 2.5 rushing attempts at plus 112. Don't forget what RJ said about Matt Collins and potentially laddering him. Drake May over 19.5 completions, minus 125. Who knows? Maybe we have more props, more official plays. Maybe I have more official plays on the Sunday Super Bowl special show. But those are our official picks for now. Obviously, Kenneth Walker from SportsLine. You can check out PropStar's pick. It was under 78.5. I don't know that I can speak for him and saying he'd take 73 or 70 necessarily, but
he's been bearish against Kenneth Walker for much of the year. So
Yeah.
I wonder if he would take the under on 70.5.
we can try to find out later on this weekend. As
Just
that
look at his X feed, and he'll have a crazy AI video
That's
to
right.
go along with it.
That's
whatever
right.
It is.
And if anything, if Kenneth Walker has come down that much, it's possible it gets bumped back up a little bit. Possible there's some buyback on the yardage.
Sure.
RJ, any closing thoughts here?
Love the Super Bowl. Love betting some long shots. Love some Mac Hollins MVP 300-1. Love some defensive touchdown to be the first touchdown scored at 12-1.
I like
Love
that one too. When you told me about that one, I got psyched up.
Defensive player to win MVP 16-1.
I like that one too.
Has happened 10 times in 59 Super Bowls. So we're due. It's been 10 years since Von Miller won, and we think there's going to be a defensive game. I would suggest trying not to cherry pick the one guy that's going to win it. Say Christian Gonzalez is the most likely play, or Nick Emanwari, because it could be a random guy. It could be Malcolm Smith. It could be Dexter Jackson. We saw that in a couple Super Bowls, where somebody's just randomly returning a touchdown, a fumble or an interception for a touchdown. So I like playing that to take the whole field at 16-1. One guy I would look out for is DeMarcus Lawrence. I've seen some places have a prop on a sack fumble in the game by the same player on the same play. He's 11-1 because he's done it in 3 of his last 4 games. So that made it into the article. I have 10 long shots in total, 9-1 or higher. So go check out that article if you want to sprinkle just a little bit on a play like that, whether it's a 9-1, whether it's a 300-1, and there's a few other things in between.
It's not hard to find this article, but if you Google RJ White and 60
picks for Super Bowl 60.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty easy to find. Real quick, Dave, I want to get your reaction. Cosmic Charlie, we didn't really talk about passing yards. Sam Darnold over 228.5 passing yards. Before you answer, I was considering Sam Darnold's completions over or his attempts over. Your thoughts here?
I'm going to lean toward the over on all things Sam Darnold. Again, we've said Robert Spillane's name 10 times on this show. What was the over-under on that coming into this episode? Yeah, right. Big time over. But if it's going to be tough, if the Patriots are going to make it tough on Seattle to run the football, then Darnold's going to have to take things into his own hands. And that means a lot of JSN, whether he's being covered by Christian Gonzalez or not. I would lean over on all things Darnold based on that.
Totally fair. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it. Thanks for your participation. I guess, Dave, this is the last show of the year?
Well, it is going to be our last show together. We don't do NFL player props when there's no NFL games, but of course there's a ton of other things that you could watch on SportsLine, all the early edge, the early wedge, everything that we do to help you guys enjoy the games a little bit more. But until next year, this is it for the NFL fantasy football player props.
Still can catch you all over the place on Fantasy Football Today.
Sure.
RJ everywhere, including CBS Sports and SportsLine. Of course, me on the Early Edge and SportsLine as well. Thanks for tuning in with us. Well, again, we'll see you on the Early Edge tomorrow morning, but also the special show Sunday with the whole SportsLine cast, Sunday from 10 to 11 to set you up for the Super Bowl. Dave, how do we close the show?
We close it the same way every time. See ya.
1, 2, 3.
Let's hit it big!